Hello, and thank you for taking the time to view our demonstration of the new AutoContract 7. I will begin with the software open, and I will explain things as I go along. This is the tip of the day. Most people click OK without reading, but my advice is to read them. You will learn much more as you go along. This is our start page. It is a convenient means of accessing common tasks. Click the New File button to start a new AutoContract working file. Click here to access the 4 most recently opened AutoContract working files. If you do not see the file you need, click here for more existing files. We also have a Getting Started button, a User Manual, and a Knowledge Base button as well. I am going to click the New File button, and a Select View menu will open. Before selecting any forms for your AutoContract working file, you must first have one or more publishers selected. The Publishers tab is where this is accomplished. If you do not see your publisher listed here, click here for all available publishers. Place a check mark beside the publishers you need. You can always come back and select more or deselect publishers as you need. After you have selected the publishers, all forms by these publishers will appear in the Available Forms list. So I'm going to click on the Available Forms tab now. These are all of the available forms from the publishers you've selected. Place a check mark beside the forms that you need for this file, and then go to your currently selected Forms tab. A new feature in AutoContract 7 is the ability to arrange the forms in the order in which you would like them to print, or the order in which you would like them to appear in an email. You can click on the form you would like to move by holding down your mouse button until you see a red line. At this time, you can drag and drop the forms where you would like them to be on the list. I have chosen to open the transaction cover sheet. This is one of AutoRealty's generic forms that is very useful. I am going to fill in a few fields to show you another new feature of AutoContract 7, which is predictive text. AutoContract remembers entries that you have made in the past and drops down a list of those previous entries as you type. Once you have filled out the transaction cover sheet, or whichever form you decide to begin with, you will then click the Forms button to choose the next form you need for the customer. Let's take a look at the 1-to-4 family residential contract. As you can see, all of the information entered in the transaction cover sheet auto-populated into this form, as well as any other form you add to this file. Now let's move on to the new menu buttons. First is New File, then the Open Existing File. The new file extension for AutoContract 7 is .axml. One of the first questions new users ask is how to get their old files. This is done easily by clicking the drop-down menu, selecting My Documents, clicking on the AC Win file. Next, you'll need to select All Files at the button here. And then, all old AutoContract files the user has saved will appear. Please note, when you open an old file in AutoContract, it is automatically converted to the new file type. Next is the Save button. On the right-hand side here, you can see that the default is to save the file both remotely and locally. Now please notice that you have options on the right-hand side. These options are to allow you to save or open files remotely. The remote feature is very useful for users that work at home or in the office, or from multiple computers. Unless the user chooses to only save their files locally, AutoContract 7 defaults to save files remotely and locally. This makes it possible for the user to open the file saved remotely from any computer. On the bottom right, you'll see that you can password protect your files if you feel necessary. Please note, we do not store these passwords and cannot recover them if they are lost or forgotten. Our Print menu has a new look also. As you can see, the forms appear in the order in which I arranged them earlier. You can print all pages from each form, or the current page from the selected form, or select pages from a form. This is useful if you make changes to one page of the form and only need to reprint this page. At the bottom here, there are a few more options for you, like to print in A and empty fields. You can choose the number of copies, and you can choose to print draft across the page. Now to our email feature. Click the Send button and the email dialog box will appear. You will need to choose the type of transaction you are working with or choose none of the above. You can then choose to email all forms by clicking Select All or place a check mark beside the forms you would like to send. If you just want to send these forms by email, you just click the OK button. Your default email program will open and you type in the email address of the recipient. You may also CC yourself. You then click Send from your email program and the email is gone. Now let's go back and show you how to send an email with request for electronic signature. Once again, just click the Send button and then choose the type of transaction you are working with or none of the above. Select the forms and then click the button Send with request for electronic signature. Type in up to 4 email addresses and choose their roles: buyer, seller, agent, etc. Please note that the email will be sent to the first email address you put in first, then the second person after the first person has signed the document. So if you'd like the seller to sign the document first, put the seller first, and so on and so forth. After you enter the information, click OK and click OK again to send. The next screen you will see lets you know that the process will be completed using EchoSign technology. You will see the list of forms and in which order you will send. Also, you can see the email addresses that you have entered and the order in which the documents will be sent for signature. Lastly, you can see that you will be charged 1 token. A token is used every time you send a file for electronic signature. So if I were to send 4 documents to 4 different people, this would still only be 1 token. There is no need to send the document to yourself, as a copy will be sent to you at your email address for your records. Click the Proceed button and it's as easy as that. EchoSign takes care of the rest by notifying each of your signers and managing the entire workflow. Signers are alerted by email to sign the document and guided through the document to sign in the proper fields. The next few buttons are self-explanatory, so we are going to skip to the Choices button. Most realtors write up a contract like a lease. Then when they are going to lease that same property, they just open the file they created and just change the names of a few tenants and such. This is a bad habit to get realtors to change, but in our web training, we are teaching them to use choices. Default choices can be set so that every field that is always the same in any form will already be filled in when the form is open. For example, if you are always the selling agent, you should never need to type your name in the selling agent's field again if you just set up a default choice. Choices are also good for things like city fields. If you work in multiple cities, you can set up multiple choices for this field, and when you are working on any form with that city field, you can right-click on the field, and the choice that you set up will appear at the bottom of the menu. Okay, we've already talked about the Forms button, so we are going to go to the Search Forms button. This button is just what it says. If you would like to go to a particular field in any form, you just click this button and all the fields are listed here. You can quickly jump to that field. The next button is the Page button, which will take you to the page of the document you wish to work on. AutoContract has the capability to calculate math-sensitive items on the fly. This feature is fully integrated with the data in your working file and population of fields in your Realty forms. When one of the math modules is selected, math calculations will occur anytime a math-sensitive field is changed, following predetermined rules which you may customize as needed. For example, changing a field in your contract containing the loan amount would generally cause the field containing the down payment to change by subtracting the new loan amount from the sales price. When you click the Math Tools button, you have the choice of going to the Buyer or Seller Estimate of Closing Cost form. When you choose either of these, you will be asked to choose the math, and then you are taken to the form. The next item on the menu is the qualifying estimate. As items are entered, qualifying data is continuously recalculated on the fly. After entering all of the above items, the status bar will indicate whether the buyer is qualified, and if not, what the issue is: high debt ratio, insufficient funds, etc. After entering all the above items 1 through 13, you can click Find Highest Sales Price button. This will maximize the sales price in the increments of 1,000 to the highest sales price for which the buyer is still qualified for. In the buyer qualification window, clicking the print button will print out the detailed buyer's qualification report to your default printer. To exit the buyer qualification dialog window and merge changed values into your working file, simply click OK. With a math model running while editing some forms, not all math-specific fields may be available to you on that form. Calculations, however, may be affected by those fields you cannot get to. In those cases, the Finance Perimeter dialog window can be helpful. The Finance Perimeter dialog window gives you a snapshot of many of the math-relevant fields and allows you to change them from location. On the amortization schedule, you will enter the buyer's and pre-preparer's name and then the loan credentials. This information determines how the amortization schedule is calculated. After changing any of these fields, the schedule will recalculate. The area where the schedule appears on the screen can be scrolled up or down to view all of its entireties. Here, we are only seeing the very top of what is contained. Other parts include the payment and payments detailed, as well as a summary of the effects of additional principal payments. Click the Print button to print out a schedule to your default printer. To exit the amortization schedule dialog window and merge changed values into your working file, simply click OK or cancel to exit without merging. To apply a range of additional principal payments, click Advanced. This is primarily indicated to be used to add a range of additional principal payments to be incorporated into the schedule. The Profile button provides a convenient single location to edit contact information and how you would like the information to appear when creating new working files. Enter or edit your user information. The login and password displayed here is your AutoContract website credentials. This is what is used when saving files remotely or downloading forms. Note that you cannot change your account number or login. When new working files are created, you can opt to have your profile information automatically default to the values you have entered here, for the seller agent, the listing agent, or both, or not at all. We have went over our welcome page before. Just keep in mind that you can access your account information from here as well. Next is the Help button. Once opened, you can select the index and type a quick summary of what you need help with. This will explain in detail how to fix your problem. If you still need help, feel free to contact us here at AutoRealty at toll-free 1-800-277-8627, or if located in Texas, 817-284-9875. This will conclude our demonstration of AutoContract 7.